For an example of setting cookies, we're going to be creating a script that allows the user to specify a default font size, a font color, and a background color for a page. And once they make these choices, they'll click the Customize Me button. And then, as you can see, now you have the option to view the results in action. When we click the button to view the results in action, it'll take us to the page that's going to show us our choices. And on this page, we'll have the option to customize again or reset to the original page specifications. Make sure that you record showing all of these things. The page that we'll begin working on is the page that displays a form for choosing the specific values that you want to be returned. This is also going to be handling the form submission. We're going to be creating a couple of other pages that show messages that will link to another page where the user's preferences can be viewed, and one that allows you to reset everything. We'll start off by working on this page right here. I have this page partially built, and it's a pretty basic HTML page. So I'm linking to a default style sheet, and inside the body tag I have H1, a P tag that just give a title to the page and explain what I want the user to do. I have a form with an action that hasn't been set yet, and I'm going to be using the method of post. And I have select elements. The first one has a name of F size. This is going to be controlling my font size. And I have different options where the user can specify the font size that they want to choose. The value is important to note. The value attribute has values that are going to coincide with CSS verbiage that would use the keywords to set a font to these particular sides. The same type of thing is happening for my font color select box. So this is set up the same way. I have option elements, and they all are going to display different color options. The values of these options is the hex value for these particular colors. So this string of numbers and characters is the hex value for the blue that I want to choose. Now normally in CSS we would use the hash and then have the hex value. It is worth noting that I'm just using the hex value here. The background color is set up exactly the same way, and I'm actually using all of the same values for the background color. And then finally I have an input tag with a type of submit and a name of submit, and the text that displays is Customize Me. So this HTML text is going to generate this page that we see right here. So when we use cookies, the most critical thing that you want to keep in mind is that they're created before anything is sent to the browser. In order to accomplish this, the script begins with the PHP section that handles the sending of the cookies, and that needs to happen before anything else. When you're doing something with cookies, you need to be certain that you don't have any extra spaces or lines before the initial PHP tag. So I need to make sure that my PHP tag starts right at the beginning of the page. Even if I had an extra space here or an extra line, this could prevent the cookies from working correctly. So make sure that you don't have any of those extra spaces or lines. The page that we're building right now is both going to display and handle the form. Our script is going to perform basic minimal validation as a test for the form submission. We're going to set up a conditional that checks for the existence of the three variables that we're dealing with: the font size, the font color, and the background color. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll make a comment. So the following code is going to persist if the form has been submitted. I'll start off by making an if statement, and we're going to go ahead and use our isSet keyword. And what I'm looking for right now is my post handler. And then in the square brackets, I'm going to put the names of the items that I want to collect. So the first one that I'm looking for is going to be my font size. Then I'm going to use a comma, and I'll pass in the post method again. And now we're going to look for font color, and then I'll put a comma, and we'll use the post method one more time, and we're going to look for the BG color. These names correspond with the names that I've attached to the select boxes. So that's my condition. I'll open up the curly braces, and inside of the curly braces, I'm going to create the cookies. So we're going to use set cookie, and I'm going to set cookies for f size is going to be the first one. And then the value is going to be whatever is collected from the form. So we're going to use our post method, and in the square braces, I'm going to pass in the name of the value that I want to get, which in this case for the first one is going to be font size. So that's going to be the first cookie that we've created. I'm just going to copy this code because the rest of the code is going to be very similar. We'll paste this in and we'll change the name of the cookie. Our next one is going to be F color for font color, and of course that's the information that we're collecting from our form, and then we'll make one for our background color. So these 3 lines have created 3 separate cookies, one called F size, one called F color, and one called BG color. The values will be based on the selected values from the HTML form, and they're being stored in the $_post square brace variables. The next step is that we'll create a message and complete the conditional in this PHP section. I'll make a comment, and then I'm going to create a variable called MSG, and this is going to store the message that I want to display later on. So we're going to go ahead and display a message that appears inside of a P tag, and my message is just going to verify that the settings have been entered, and I'm also going to provide a link so that the user can see the settings. Now the value of the link, my href value, is going to be 10-03-view.php, which is a page that you haven't seen yet, but this is going to be another page that we'll be working on in a later video that's going to work in conjunction with this file. What's going to happen here is when the form has been submitted, the cookies are going to be sent, and the message variable is going to be assigned the string value that we just wrote. The variable is going to be used later in the script to print a message. This approach is necessary. We can't print a message at this juncture because not even the HTML head or the body tag has been run yet. Remember, this PHP is run before anything else exists on the page. The rest of our HTML, starting with the doc type and all the rest of the HTML that I already shared with you, is going to come after the set cookie lines. I don't want to overstate this, but no text, no HTML, no blank spaces can be sent to the browser prior to the set cookie calls. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and we're going to create another PHP section. This is going to go inside of my body tag. So I will open up my PHP tag and I'll just create a closing PHP tag down here. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up some PHP that is going to print the message if the cookies were sent. So this is going to report on the cookies being sent. We're going to use an if statement here. I'll use isSet, and we're going to pass in the value of our variable MSG, and then I'm going to open up my curly braces, and what's going to happen if message has been set is we're simply going to print the value of message. So what this code is going to do is it's going to print the message if the cookies have been sent. The first time the user comes to the page, the cookies have not been sent, so the message is not set, making this condition false, and the print statement will never run. Once we've submitted the form, the message variable is going to be set at that point, and then this condition is true, which means that the statement will print. The final thing that I need to do on this page is I need to set the action value for my form. And because the script is both going to display and handle the form's action attribute is going to point to the same file. So it's just going to point to this particular file. So I'll put in the name of this file. The name of my file is 10-03.php. And that's going to be it for this page. I'll save my page. If we look in the browser and we refresh, now we are getting an error message, and our error message is pointing to line 63. If we look in our code, line 63 is the closing HTML statement for my code, so I know that that can't be correct. I'm going to look back in my code, And actually what I didn't put is my closing curly brace on my initial if statement. So I'm missing my closing curly brace. I usually do that right away, but obviously I neglected to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that the closing curly brace is there. If we save and we refresh our page is gonna look like this. Our page currently is not gonna do anything because we haven't completed the other necessary code. So at this point, nothing is actually working. In the next movie, we're going to go ahead and we're going to create the additional code that we need to make this work.